Hi guys, my name is Vera and I'm the art director and founder of Alt Studio. Our studio is a game outsourcing company and we're working with a lot of different projects. Like we're providing game art, it's mostly 2D art, also 3D part, and we're working with a very different kind of art, like starting with the super casual games, very simple stuff, and then finishing with the high realistic art like characters, locations, and basically everything about game art. And I'm I'm honored and proud to be the part of DevGAMM team. And thank you very much for your project, for sending the project to review. Actually, I have to say that there was a lot of great projects on review list, and I had to choose just one of them because unfortunately I had time just for one review, and it was a difficult choice because there was a lot of great stuff there. But your project, it's really beautiful, and well, I can honestly say that I just fell in love from the first look of the trailer, because the art is really great and it was a great pleasure for me to do this review. So I will start with this. This is a great work, guys. I will definitely follow your project and I would be glad to see it on Steam, and I wish you the best of luck. Okay, so I have some feedback and I hope that maybe some of my suggestions would be useful for you guys. But well, generally I have to say that the project is great, and all that I will say here is just maybe some improvement you can make, some suggestions which in my opinion could make the visual part even better. But generally the project is great and I think that the visual part is ready to be released. So, well, let's see. I will take a general review and explain my general impression from the beginning, and then I will go to some parts which in my opinion could be improved. So we're starting with the key art, and I have to say that the key art I got a little bit later. So I started with the trailer, with actually this picture I think, and the first impression I got from the game was from the trailer and this picture, and then I started playing, and then just then I got the key art. So a little bit later, in the part in which I will suggest something, I will explain my feeling about this art and about how, in my opinion, is it convenient for the game. With the first screen, I got really nice feeling, because here I see the page with some watercolors and the handmade style, like the types is just like handmade, and this thing with the location, which I can see somehow looking through the paper, it's giving the idea of the world of imagination, which like then I'm reading the book and then I'm imagining the world inside it, and I'm just somehow jumping on another universe, and this universe is as real as the world around me. So this is the feeling I get from the first look, and well, for me it's a great idea and great realization, and I like that start. Here we go, coming to the mine menu, which is made like from the real materials, and here I can follow this idea of what is this is something made by hands, and maybe the story written on the diary or something like this. And Well, I think that this is an appropriate style for the story, for the idea you made, and well, for me it's nice. There will be some suggestions. We will come to this a little bit later. And starting the game, the thing I liked when I started playing the game was like I'm beginning with a very simple area. Like it's a blank page with some text in it, with very simple character. Like I'm starting reading something or like writing something on the book, on the diary. And as long as I'm playing and going from page to page, I see that this story is developing. I'm starting to see some illustrations, and I really like the style of illustrations because it's super simple, maybe in some way kind of childish, but it's uh, perfectly fit the story. And I have this like warm feeling, kind of cozy, of those illustrations, and the story seems really like about family, about something which is like close to everything, everybody, some personal story, and I can easily imagine myself at, let's say, 14, uh, like writing the same story or doing the same stuff. And as much as I'm playing, I'm getting the more and more interactive elements. I can play with the words, and then I have more and more pictures, and I see that the story became more and more colorful. And this is actually the same process we experience than the reading the book. So we start in like when we just opening the book, it's just a paper with some word on this, and as much as we read in the book, we imagine in the world around, the universe starts to exist in our imagination. And as long as we're reading, the universe become more and more real, with more details on this, with more colorful pictures. And the same experience I'm taking from the game. And this is really nice, this is great, and this is catching, and really catching, and like taking me follow the story. And then I'm ending with this illustration before I'm going to the like exact game for the first time. The This illustration felt like kind of miracle for me, because uh, suddenly in the blank pages I just saw this colorful picture made in this stylization of watercolors, and the picture is really great. I mean, this is one of the pictures which can be easily like in my wall, for example, because it's a nice environment. It's a really nice colors, great composition with a harmony, and like super peaceful and beautiful place. And I can actually see and feel that this is a story beginning here. And jump into to this story, jump into the end of this level, like on this page, I'm wondering, like, something great has to happen. And then I come into the actual game field, and this game field feels like a real world in imagination of the like main character, the girl who is writing the book. And this is a great feeling that I'm not just starting the game, I'm not just finding myself in the beginning of some location. No, I have the journey before, and that journey prepares me to this world, and I'm actually kind of starting imagining the world before I'm coming to this, and then I'm starting the story. I'm completely ready to the adventure. That's really nice. And also one more thing I love about design of location, design of this part of the game, is that well, somehow all the design repeat the same lines, like some lines in the hair of the girl in the haircut. The same lines I can find in the shape of trees, in some branches or something, and it's creating a common visual style, of the game universe. That's really nice. Also, I have to say that the contrast in the game is really great. I mean, the main thing when we are designing the gameplay field uh, is to make a obvious difference between interactive objects and all the other objects and the bigger background. And the main character is perfectly readable. I can see her, and she has enough contrast, and I can definitely read her on any place and any location. That's great. Like the balance of contrasts in the gameplay field, it's really nice. I mean, here, for example, on that location, we can easily see the main characters, the girl and the, uh, the second character. They are they have a high contrast. They are like a two bright parts, and we can definitely read them on the situation. That's nice balance. Also, coming back to the part of reading and writing the story, I once again have a new experience with this stuff like dark pages, like the lights coming down, and now I can see the dark pages, and in those dark pages, the bright colors became so vibrant, and really I can feel the magic happen around, because all the blue, yeah, like blue colors and violet and all this stuff, they look really magical on this background, and it's like something once more, it's something new. And well, the game still impress. And also, this is one more thing that I like about the project, that it has something impressive for me in every next page, in every next level. That's super nice. And in this, for example, in this location, in this page, uh, well, the picture is definitely super beautiful. I really like it, and I mean, the artist who did that art, I really appreciate that. That's super nice. And it's one of the classical contrasts. I love it very much. Is the contrast between gray and some bright colors, and actually it worked better than, for example, the contrast with just black background. Because in the black background it would be too contrasted, maybe, but in the gray background the bright colors become super vibrant. That's like it's improving the impression of the pictures. um, and yeah, well, this is truly magical environment here. Also, I liked how you guys reused the same location with the change in the colors, change in the atmosphere, adding some fire and stuff. Yeah, I understand that this is a part of the story, because it was some stuff that happened on the village, and we have to help our people and save the village. But that's nice how you reuse the same content, the same location, but in different situation, and it looks completely different, like in U level. That's also great. Well, generally, well, I didn't make it to the final level, and I will definitely play this game until the end. I mean, until I would like to play all the content which already exists. It's super interesting, and also the story is interesting. I didn't make it all for the review, but generally, the impression I have, which is the game is great enough to be published. So there is nothing which has to be fixed before you will publish it, because actually everything working. The interface, the main character, the gameplay field, the levels of the like game story and everything made really great. But here we will come to some suggestion I have, which in my opinion could make it even better. And let's start with the key art. As I told in the beginning, I saw the key art like a little bit later. I started playing the game, and then I got that picture. And first of all, I have to say, like, okay, the key art is bright and really interesting and nicely done. But I couldn't say that that key art showing me the idea of the game and showing me the same universe, the same world, the same idea which I took when I was playing the game. Because it's just like more usual than the game you created. Because the game is really unusual and really stylized, and but the key art is like from, let's say, from any other fantasy game. And how can we change this? In my opinion, well, I would suggest to add the this thing of paper and watercolor to the background. For example, we can make this like open book or maybe just one piece of paper, but this is a paper with the watercolor background, which is not like, which we can definitely see that this is a real painting. And then, for example, to the center, it's become more and more real, and the girl is real. But the dragon, for example, could be half painted like watercolor and half real, like he's coming from the illustration. And this way we could show this idea like this is the word coming from illustration, and also we can show that this is a like storytelling game, yeah, something coming from the book, because the main part of the game is the story. And I really like how you guys like played with that story. And actually, this is a problem of some storytelling games, because in our reality, there are a lot of players who just skip the story. And if you're just starting with a super colorful universe, like in locations, for example, and you just come into some NPC, and this NPC starting to tell you something, and you don't read it, because you're not interested in the story, you're interested on the gameplay. But it's not about this game. We're starting with just words, and we don't see anything except those words, so we are reading this. And the game made perfectly for us to read the story. And then we read the first part of the story, then they coming to the first part of the game, then we're coming to the next part of the story, but now we're interested on reading the story. And that's great. And that game would be perfect for people who like this kind of games, yeah, like reading, like the story behind the game. And I think that if we will make the key art showing this part, like showing some kind of the book and the illustration on the book and the story coming from that illustration, it also can show our target audience that this is the game they like. This is not just any um, random fantasy game. This is a game with a great story in this. Also, the second thing I thought that the dragon itself, well, the dragon is a basically super strong character. The dragons could be super beautiful or maybe dangerous or something, but there's a lot of things we can do, and there's a lot of super great pictures of dragons. And well, I think that in this key art, dragon is not so impressive, and dragon could be made better because I mean, this is a character in which we can put a lot of great expression, and he could be really beautiful and dangerous with its super nice shapes and something. So I would like to work on dragon more. Okay, here's a little suggestion. This is a technical tip about using the lighting. The thing is, when we are creating the light, for example, it's green light, or also it's working with the yellow lights, we're creating the light on the dark background. And in the center part, the light is bright, but then it's coming like less bright, and then it's coming with this gradient to the darker part. And in this, like, then the light coming to the darker part, it become kind of dirty, because it's combining with the gray color behind it. And if we will just pick the color between green in the center and gray around the lights, we will see that the color is kind of dirty. And how can we avoid this situation? We can put a dark color, like a halo, around the lighting part. And maybe it changed a little bit a color of those lights, but the lights which made with a darker halo around, they look a little bit brighter and more like more life, more shiny, let's say. So it's just like little suggestion. The biggest part that I would like to discuss is the interfaces. Like the interface, well, it's made good enough. I mean, it's totally understandable. It has the stylization of natural materials like paper or something, and that also showing this idea of uh, something physical. Yeah, like papers, or we are writing diary, or we are playing with something. Like it shows the idea, it's the part of the general style, and basically it's working. But I think that it could be made way better. I mean, first of all, if it's a girl diary, if a girl will make something like the first page of her diary or something like this, she will make it way more, I mean, elegant, let's say. Uh, the paper you're using now on the buttons, it's kind of weak, like um, I don't know, um, like it's not so accurate. It's like just some, I wouldn't like to say trash, but I have part of this feeling. Just something that you forgot to clean up. And then I was thinking about that style and about that interface. I was thinking, how would I like to like design it? And I googled for some interfaces made from paper, and this is an example that they will show my idea. Like, okay, here's the same, basically the same thing with paper, and also it's really like some real objects. But first of all, we can see how this atmosphere made with the lights coming from the left side, some shadows and sunlight, and it's making very real impression. And we can it feels like we can actually be there. We can feel that paper. We can see that table or something in which we can see the pieces of paper and stuff. And also the paper itself, and all the elements, they are made more carefully, more delicate, and it seems like, I mean, let's say nice. And this is not this interface is not so convenient from the game itself, but the next one, I like this little ornaments all around. And well, this is kind of a common thing now with the diaries. Like the diary can have some print on the paper, like some lights, slightly ornamented paper or something. Yeah, it could be somehow some details around. And the girl, then she was making that diary. Then she was making the first page. I think that she was thinking about this, like designing it somehow to make it beautiful, because this is the beginning of her story. And maybe she was using some like stickers or something, pieces of paper, and she was cutting that pieces of paper to create a special form, and maybe drawing some ornaments and stuff to make it beautiful. Um, and the second thing is that the main menu is the first time, like our first impression from the game. And the game itself is way more beautiful than the interface in the beginning. I mean, the game has a lot of great stuff, a lot of great design, illustrations, and some ornaments. I mean, in the book, then we are playing the book part. I saw some pages with some ornaments around, and they're really nicely done. Why don't we start with this? Why don't we start with some nice page, nicely done, also following this style of handmade and some piece of papers, stickers or something, but made carefully and well, elegant and with some ornaments and stuff, like made with love, I say. So, in my opinion, it's quite important part because yeah, it's the first impression we got when we started the game. Like, um, the first meeting, you know, and the first impression is really important for the all the like how the player will feel on the game. Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously meaningful part, so I would suggest to rework the interface, and it's not so like it's not so huge. I mean, you have quite simple interface. It's just the first main menu and maybe some like. I mean, it has to be about 3 pages of interfaces. I'm not wrong, and it's not so difficult to work on this. So I think that it worth it. Yes, also some samples of the interface, and then we're going to the location. Yeah, it also will be something more about location in the later pictures, but with this one, the house of the grandma, or is it grandma? Yeah, I suppose. It's um, well, looks a little bit empty. And the other thing that I don't actually understand how the grandma could reach the bed, how she's coming to the bed, because I don't see any way to the bed, and it's a little bit weird. But the general thing is that this home is kind of empty, and it doesn't look like somebody's living there. And most of all, it's not some character like this grandma living in this house, because In my opinion, in my imagination, the house of the character like this has to be more cozy, let's say, with more stuff in this. I like made a little sketch there, showing that first of all we can like combine the bed with the upper floor to make it understandable how we can go to that floor and reach the bed. Also, I added like some decoration around which can make this house like feels like somebody's living there. To, right now I just see that the books are just giant and yeah, it has to be a little bit not so big, but basically the idea is that we can also add something around to make that place more like a living room or something. And another thing about the location itself. I had two thoughts about lights and shadows and about textures. And let's start with lights and shadows. There's uh, a lot of instruments on Unity, and I'm not a 3D artist and I'm not a technical artist, so I couldn't maybe suggest something like some exact points there. How to, like, which exactly tools could you use to improve this. But while I was working on the projects with my team, I like saw that process, and I can say that these shadows can be not black, and maybe you can add some shaders or something to create, like maybe add some one more source of light in the shadow part, or some like work on atmosphere or something. But basically, if you will make the shadows just not black, or like just some other color, for example, bluish or something like this, the location itself would be like, it feels like heavy now. It's too, sometimes it's too dark. And one more thing, that if we are adding the black shadows on the colorful scene, the scene become less colorful, and it's, yeah, I mean, the picture would be way more easy with more live atmosphere if we will work on the shadows and make it not just dark, so dark and so black. Maybe make it less dark and with another color, and also maybe adding another source of light or some shaders on Unity, which could improve the atmosphere. And another thing is about textures. Look into that picture. I was thinking about which textures could be, which visual style of textures could be appropriate for the picture, and even maybe it would be like the thing with which I started was like the textures could be more painted, like hand painted, with the more brush strokes on them, with more feeling of the real 2D picture. And maybe I'm thinking now that maybe even we could add some feeling of watercolors used on the textures. I tried to find the sample. It wasn't so easy, because I can definitely see that picture in my imagination, but sometimes it's difficult to find a perfect reference. But I found some reference which could show my idea. Looking at that picture, we definitely have this feeling that this is a 2D location. Like, not 2D location, we can definitely see that this is 3D objects, and also if we will like go to that location, we can see that it moves like a 3D scene. So it's not 2D, but all the textures they made in 2D, and I think that maybe they even didn't use anything except the diffuse texture here, like just a hand painted texture. I'm not even sure they used some like other textures here. And the all the textures they made perfectly in 2D style. Like the stones, they have this feeling like they was just drawn, and the wood and the trees and everything, and the grass, everything is just has this feeling of drawing by hands. The only thing we can see is the shadows falling down from the objects, and the only thing that's not 2D, that's not drawn, is the shadows falling down from the objects, and the shadows, they are super light, they're not dark at all, and it's making the feeling that you're actually on the 2D picture. And I think that maybe it would be more appropriate for the story itself, for the general style of the game. Also, I found another reference. For example, this picture, this illustration. Uh, I can easily imagine this kind of art and these kind of textures used on 3D models. For example, in the foreground, we can use a actual 3D models, and I can easily see how we can print the stones or trees or even grass in the same style. And this is a style of real picture, and it's like kind of the same which the illustration we are using on the actual book. And on the background we can use a 2D art, for example, some stones on the rocks or mountains on the background, and then some clouds on the sky, and we can use parallax effects. And in the foreground we can see the same objects. Maybe we even don't need so many shadows, like we can just use falling shadows, and the picture itself would be more 2D. But um, we can achieve this effect of illustration, like we're actually uh, going through the illustration and living in the illustration. And well, maybe this stylization of texture would make all the level design well, more interesting and more convenient for the game itself. But it's a lot of work, and I mean, if we are talking about K art, I'm quite sure that it worth it, because the K art is the art, like this is the main art for the project. And it's really important to make an appropriate K art and also make some tests. I mean, and it would be better to not just make any K art and then publish the game, but make some tests and spend some time on it, because I wouldn't exaggerate saying that the maybe half of success of the game depend of how we use the marketing art. Which icon do we use, which banners do we use, and which K art do they use. So I'm quite sure that there is a lot of work we can do on K art, and it would be perfectly meaningful for the project. So it's worth it. About interface, it's not so difficult to do it. It's not as important as the K art. I would say it's the second priority, but still it's not so difficult to do it. And it's quite easy to find some, even find some artist or maybe work on it on your team, but rework the interface and it will improve the first impression on the game, and that's great. What about these reworking textures? It's a lot of content. It's a lot of content. It's a great work, and it's for you to decide. Do you guys need this on that stage of your project? Do you need it for this game or not? Or maybe you will save that idea for the future or something. So it's a complicated task, and it's just for you to decide, and it's not so necessary like the key art and the interface part. But still, maybe that idea could be helpful. But generally, I will just repeat that the game was just impressive, and it's great work. So congrats, guys! I think you made a great project. If you have any questions, if you would like to discuss something, or maybe you have also some suggestions or something, or would like to hear some additional feedback to something, just ask me. And once again, thank you very much for coming to DevGAMM and for taking your project to review. And I wish you the best of luck with this project. Bye bye.